Hello. As a child, I remember being blissfully at the beach and just full of life, and intimacy was there. Apparent, I was chasing the little girls down the street, and it was just so alive. And then through my disconnect through the years, it seems like it's coming back, where I'm in a wonderful relationship I manifest. Getting back into swimming. Swimming was one of my passions, and to just be connected with it all. And I don't know if I have a question, but it's like things are just so exciting right now. Again, it's just wonderful to come back home again into that blissful state of being and knowing that it's there. And with my current relationship, at times, my sweetheart and I, we're not at the same vibration at times, and we think that there's one other person's wrong and the other person's should be aligned with the other person, and at times it could be tense, and we have tools that we do clear, we call it, when we talk, and we try to understand where our feelings are and where all these based fears come from our childhood, that we built all these walls. I don't know if I have a specific question, but I'm just sharing this wonderful, blissful state that I'm creating, and I know it's just so close that we're,
Well, as we hear you, one thing stood out very nicely in your conversation, and we want to amplify it a bit. Do you notice that now you have predominantly reconnected with who you are? That those childhood memories of similar connection now are more vivid. So as you get tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and that is your moment of vibrational alignment, now you have access to other things like that. And so you're able to reach far into your childhood past and feel that moment of running on the beach. Isn't it interesting how there is no distance like past or space? Vibrationally, whatever you tune to, you have access to it immediately. And so we just think that's a very positive reflection that amplifies what is the emotion, what is the manifestational indication. So here you sit and you say, I'm sitting in this manifestational indication of alignment, and I can actually recall things that matched up. It's nice to apply it in that way too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then when you say, and everyone would say it, I'm not always tuned in, tapped in, turned on, nor is my sweetheart, and sometimes we are not in alignment, and we think it's a normal thing, especially now that you have reunited with who you really are. Anything that causes that separation is going to feel over dramatic. And there is this tendency to think that you need to go back and explain how it is that this has occurred. There are a lot of people that believe that there is advantage to going back to where the childhood trauma occurred and rethinking it into a better feeling place. If you can go all the way back to there and accurately reactivate it, that would be all right. But in most cases, you cannot. In most cases, you sort of artificially conjure something. And so we think that the clearing process is a very worthwhile process. And in fact, we're not talking about something so different here. We're talking about letting who you really are be your goal and bringing yourself into alignment with it, which is closing the gap, which must be the same thing as clearing resistance or releasing resistance. And so same sort of idea, maybe a little bit different way of going about it. As you heard us talking to people about, right now is your manifestational indicator, and is there anything that I can recall that matches how I feel right now? Wherever your mind then takes you, in other words, when you focus for a little while on how you're feeling in a moment, if you stay there for 17 seconds and another 17 seconds and another 17 seconds and another 17 seconds, for as little as 68 seconds, other things in your life experience that felt the same way as this feels will occur to you. It might take you back to yesterday. It might take you back 10 years ago. It might take you back to last relationship or 2 relationships ago, or it might take you back to your childhood. It doesn't matter where it is, wherever the most vivid activation is, it'll show up within 68 seconds of you resonating within that vibration. Oh, this is so good. And so when it occurs to you, then stop. Don't try to go further with it. Talk to yourself from your now knowledge about how that no longer applies. In other words, talk that situation downstream. And usually you do it by giving whoever was involved the benefit of the doubt. You acknowledge that nobody really knew what they were doing or whatever. Just talk yourself into a better feeling place. And it doesn't take more than 2 or 3 episodes like that before you have cleared that vibration. When we use your words of clearing, what we mean is clearing that vibration out and establishing a new one that is more productive. We don't mean clearing all the vibrations out forevermore and making yourself a blank slate. We just mean moving up the emotional scale, clearing resistance away as best you can. Very good.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Thank you so much. I'm very grateful for your being here. My life work. I want to ask something that I think is this save the world notion, that I'm wondering if there might not be this generational conditioning, thought pattern, thought form, energy form that I grew up in, which was that we're supposed to save the world.
Yes, of course that's abounding, but it is nowhere in your vibrational escrow, and it is not anything that the source energy within you knows. In other words, the source view is that this world does not need to be saved because it is emphatically expanding for the good. In other words, the viewpoint that the world needs to be saved is an attitude that in that moment has you really separated from who you are.
By listening to your information, I've been looking for where's the resistance? Where's the resistance? So sometimes I feel torn between doing what I love and being in my bliss, where I spend a lot of time and great joy. And then I think, but I should be doing this, or I should be saving the world. And I feel that pull. And I've been trying to merge the two. And then I said, well, maybe that's just some conditioning thought form, and I don't really have to merge the two.
Well, how would you go about saving the world?
Well, like, for example, I love nature. And so I belong to all these environmental organizations, and I love to write, I love to take photographs, but then mixed into that mix is, I think, well, I have to write these great bestsellers that also save the environment, that awaken consciousness, that all of the stuff in my life, I think I have to use towards that end. And that's it's mixed in with life mission and life purpose. And I really want to clear anything in there that
well, then let us just give it to you
discord.
Let us just give it to you simply. So each of you as you come forth have a determination to create your reality. And when you expand that notion to mean, that means I have to create everybody else's reality, you've gone too far. You've come forth to create your reality, which means you've come forth to sift through and determine what you would like to see. Now, what you would like to see might be about your property taxes, it might be about your house payment, it might be about the earth itself, it might be a political notion. In other words, what you want to see is what you want to see. And so your view of the way you would like to see the world is constantly shooting forth from you in rockets of desire, vibrational rockets. And the source energy part of you is then becoming a vibrational match to that. So then the only thing you have to ask yourself is this letter I'm writing, is this website I'm reviewing, is what I'm doing right now making me feel good or bad? Do I feel better or worse in my involvement with it? You can't single-handedly save the world, and the world doesn't need to be saved, but it's perfectly all right for life to inspire you to an idea about what would be better life on planet Earth. And when that rocket is born out of you and you turn your undivided attention toward that notion, you come into alignment, and then you get to live that improved life on Earth right here and now. And so you say, oh, I get it. I came forth, I lived the contrast, I saw something that would be better, I lined up with it, and now I'm living it. But then you say, but what about the others who aren't living it, as you split your energy again? And that's what goes wrong. That's what's wrong with the idea that I have to save the world, is that the world, first of all, doesn't want to be saved. Most of them don't want to be saved your way anyway. The only work that you can do, all you have have the ability or the right or the capacity to do is to come into alignment with your own evolved, expanded self. And every particle of discord that you ever feel is not because you're not saving the world, it's because you're not keeping up with who you are. You're misinterpreting what those negative emotions are. Those emotions of frustration or, oh, I should be doing something different, are not because you're not saving the world, it's because you're not keeping up to speed with who you have become. And when you start deliberately keeping up to speed with who you have become, those feelings will evaporate because they were never part of the reason that you came forth. And when you are tending to your world and you are creating your world and you are demonstrating through the power of your example how to come into alignment with your world, when you are radiating that example and another figures that out and another figures it out, the only world that will ever be the lovely world will be a world where everyone is controlling their own world. And in the moment that somebody else says, no, 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 I see you're not controlling your world in the way that you should. Never mind, I'll just control your world. You freak out because you are fiercely independent, you see. Oh, it is so lovely. The only place that freedom ever comes from is in the releasing of resistance. The only thing that ever binds you is your own contradictory energy. And as you understand that, as you embrace that, as you practice that, and as you live that, and then as you teach that through the clarity of your example, you will have the exhilarating experience of having other people's lives improve as a result of their interaction with you. But you cannot ever fixate on what's going wrong with the world and improve it in any way. It never, ever works.
And I feel that maybe has been what's stopping me, because I've been wanting to write and publish books. But I thought, well, but it's got to weave in this message about saving the world. And so you're saying to clear out all the resistance about that, just focus on what I most love. Focus
upon things that make you feel good and write books from your place of feeling good.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.